This was another neutral earth fault we got called to. A little trickier though, because it was a bigger board, more circuits and just more to look around as well. But we always have a pretty regimented tactic, so we got to it. First thing, always just check the RCD to make sure it's doing what it should be doing with all the circuits off. Next thing, as I explained last time, I tend to put crocks between neutral and the earth bars and do continuity. I was suspicious of a neutral earth fault from what the customer was explaining and the sporadic nature of the tripping again. But just like last time, although I did it with the neutrals this time, one by one I took the neutrals out and you could see the continuity break, so I knew what circuit to start looking into. And just to be sure, I disconnected all the cables and did the same test again, and again I was getting continuity between neutral and earth with everything disconnected, so I knew it was a circuit problem. Just by doing that, we've narrowed it down from 10 circuits to 1 circuit, so we can now specifically look into that particular circuit. Unplug everything, take all the USB sockets out because they can always interfere, and then start doing some normal tests as well, just to make sure that generally the circuit seems okay. Everything was fine apart from constantly picking up this neutral earth continuity fault. So then as usual, we split the circuit, keep going, picking up the good legs and bad legs, working our way around trying to get a map of the entire circuit. Generally at that point you should always narrow it down to one particular cable between 2 sockets, which I thought was this particular cable. At this point I was going to disconnect the cable and we were going to come back to it to re-quote to extend the cable or put a new one in so we could repair it properly. But there was one more piece of the puzzle, because as we were looking into it, we found in the utility room there was a boxing up in the top corner that still had this socket inside. It still had things plugged in, so I unplugged them and checked it again. The fault was still there. Separated the cables and there was 3 cables going into this socket. Traced the cable back and it ended up going into this boiler cupboard next to it. There was 2 spurs next to each other, which I thought were on the boiler circuit. Turns out one was, the other one was fed by this socket. It did an electric tail rail, so I disconnected it and double checked that too. Tested between neutral and earth on the load of the tail rail, and there was our reading. It was that after all. So it turns out it was a faulty thermostatic tail rail element. So we disconnected all the cables, carried out a retest, and of course then the whole circuit had cleared. Everything was fine again. Left that isolated and got the power back on. Everything came back on, no problems, and all the faults were cleared. Everything came back on. The customer was really happy and I managed to explain it to them exactly what was going on there. And just for a sense of completion, about 2 weeks later we got a new thermostat for the tail rail, got that fitted as well, got it connected back in, and everything was fine there too. And then we got that back working. So that was this job from start to finish. It carried out over 2 trips so we could get the tail rail fixed as well. This was a really satisfying completion to this one. The customer was really happy. As always, drop us any questions and follow us for more.